Oh yes. Hello, you chicken lickers. Welcome back to the Reaction Shot Podcast. For today's episode, we're getting down and dirty in the swampy Everglades of Blue Bay, Florida. It's all fun and games until you find yourself in a big web of sex, lies, money, and deceit. So, strap on those shoes you purchased from Whores for Less and crank up the volume wherever it is that you're listening. Before we get into the episode, let me remind you of an amazing podcast network family that I'm a part of. That's right, it's the You Run Podcast Network, a network jam-packed with some amazing creators with a wide range of podcast topics. So, hop on over to the You Run Podcast webpage, that's yourunpodcast.com, and check out all the other amazing talents featured. There are two in particular that I like to point out, and that's Podcast in the Woods, a horror podcast that not only focuses on familiar classics, but also some obscure titles and under-the-radar gems. Your host Boomer, co-host Gabby, and some revolving guests make this horrific trip into the woods both informative and fun. Podcast in the Woods is a show worthy of adding into your rotation. The hosts keep each episode fresh and exciting, and even make you want to check out or return to each movie that they focus on. And the other podcast I like to talk about is Under the Floorboards, a show where hosts John and Eric crack open the coffin lid on cult horror, modern nightmares, and the strange joy of fear itself. Listen along as they navigate the burning circles of cinematic hell, where no monster is too twisted, no film too cursed, and no laugh too sinister. Whether you're haunted by nostalgia or chasing your next scare, Under the Floorboards invites you to descend into a fun and insightful look of terror and entertainment. So please, check out these podcasts, Podcast in the Woods and Under the Floorboards, wherever it is that you listen to your podcast, or at yourunpodcast.com. Again, that's yourunpodcast.com. Now, let's get into Season 2, Episode 12 of the Reaction Shot Podcast. In this episode, I'm introducing returning guest Adam Galloway from Raised on Film podcast to false accusations, double crosses, secret alliances, steamy pool sex, pulled teeth, three-ways, violent blows, sexy blows, boobs, and Kevin Bacon's bacon. That's right, there's nothing else that we could possibly be talking about other than 1998's steamy sex thriller, Wild Things. Wiki Fandom has provided a synopsis of the film for an overall story refresh. Tons of spoilers ahead. In the upscale Miami suburb of Blue Bay, wealthy student Kelly Van Ryan accuses her high school guidance counselor, Sam Lombardo, of raping her. Following the accusation, her outcast classmate Susie Toller, who comes from a poor family in the Everglades, makes a similar accusation. Sam hires attorney Kenneth Bowden to defend him. At trial, Susie succumbs to pressure during cross-examination and admits that she and Kelly concocted the false allegations to get revenge on Sam, Susie for his failure to bail her out of jail on a minor drug charge, and Kelly for his affair with her mother, real estate heiress Sandra Van Ryan. Sam and Kenneth negotiate an $8.5 million settlement for defamation, which Sandra pays out using funds from a trust Kelly would receive only upon Sandra's death. After the payout, it is revealed that Sam and the two girls were accomplices using the trial to extort money from Sandra. Police detective Ray Duquette suspects the trio is working on a scam. Against the wishes of the district attorney's office, he continues investigating Sam. He tells Kelly and Susie that Sam has already transferred the money to an offshore account. Susie panics and goes to Kelly, who confronts her. Kelly, however, calls Sam and tells him that they may have to get rid of Susie. In the pool, Susie attacks Kelly. They fight, but eventually end up kissing, while being watched by Ray, unknown to them. A few nights later at the beach, Sam bludgeons Susie to death while Kelly waits nearby. The two then drive to the swamp, where Sam disposes of the plastic-wrapped body of Susie. Ray and his partner, Detective Gloria Perez, investigate Susie's disappearance. Her blood and teeth are found at the beach, while her car is located abandoned at a bus terminal. The district attorney's office again insists that Ray drops the case, but he asks Gloria to watch Sam. Sam shows Gloria his files from the school on Kelly, which suggests that she's troubled and violent. Meanwhile, Ray goes to the Van Ryn's guest house to confront the scared and upset Kelly, but they end up shooting each other. Sandra rushes over as Ray stumbles out of the house, and he has sustained a gunshot wound to the shoulder, while Sandra discovers Kelly dead from 2 shots to the chest. Ray claims he was forced to shoot Kelly in self-defense. No charges are filed against him, but he is dismissed from the force for disobeying orders. It is then revealed that Sam is in cahoots with Ray. Although Sam is displeased that Ray killed Kelly, instead of simply framing her for Susie's murder, he agrees that they now have fewer loose ends to deal with. The two go sailing on Sam's boat, where Sam attempts to kill Ray. When Ray fights back, he is shot and killed with a spear gun by Susie, who staged her murder along with Sam. Susie reveals she was motivated to kill Ray to avenge the murder of her best friend Davy, whom Ray wrongfully shot to death and framed as a self-defense killing. Sam reluctantly accepts a drink from Susie, who assures him she will not double-cross him. However, upon drinking it, he realizes that she has poisoned it before Susie knocks him overboard and sails into the sunset. Susie was the ultimate mastermind of this entire plot. Upon finding that Sam and Kelly were in a sexual relationship, Susie blackmailed Sam with photographs of the two using drugs during sex, convincing him to help her with her scheme. Susie then orchestrated the meeting between Sam and Ray at a local bar. During her staged murder on the beach, Susie pulled out her own teeth with pliers to make her death appear legitimate. Ray shot Kelly first before shooting himself in the shoulder to pretend that he killed her in self-defense. Finally, with Kelly, Ray, and Sam all dead, Susie meets Kenneth, who gives her a briefcase full of cash that he describes as just walking around money and a check for millions of dollars. As she leaves, he tells her to be good before taking a drink. The end. Damn. Talk about twisted, sexy fun. So what's Adam's reaction to his first viewing? Well, let's find out. But before we get started, why don't we begin with a question? What is a sex crime? Not getting any. Hi everyone, I'm Dave and I love movies. So, welcome to my podcast, The Reaction Shot. In each episode, I'll dive deep into a movie of any genre that holds a special place in my heart. But here's the twist. I bring on a guest who has never seen that movie before, until now. We discuss, dissect, and review from pre to post-production to behind-the-scenes stories and well into its impact on pop culture. Will we agree on everything, or will we have wildly different views? Thanks for hitting play. Let's roll tape and find out. Fade in. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Reaction Shot podcast. Joining me today is Adam Galloway from Raised on Film podcast. Adam, how are you doing?
Good, Dave. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for joining me again. This is going to be our second episode we're doing together.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. The first time you joined me on my show to introduce to me Crazy Stupid Love, and now I'm going to introduce you to Wild Things.
What a movie!
What a movie! Yeah, that's one way to put it. Wild Things is from 1998. What is your history with Wild Things?
So I don't really have a history with Wild Things, so I'll give you some Cole's notes here. So I'm a huge Scream fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I love Neve Campbell, specifically in the 90s, and she obviously did this right in the middle of the original three run for Scream. And I know everyone in this. I love Kevin Bacon. I've seen Matt Dillon a bunch of stuff. I know Denise Richards. I think she did her James Bond movie right after this, right?
Yes.
This was her, because I remember I was watching and I'm like, she's not on the poster. Like, she's on the poster. Her name's on the poster, and she's not even in the top 3 build. I think she's like later, and I'm like, oh, so I guess this was kind of an introduction for her, I guess. Because now everyone knows who Denise Richards is, but maybe, again, I don't really know much of her history. But anyways, I knew everyone in it. I knew about the movie. I was a young boy, so I was aware of some scenes in the movie.
Sure.
And but it's so funny. I had never seen it. I had never watched it. I honestly haven't seen a lot of Neve Campbell stuff. It's mainly just Scream. And so again, the movie's kind of notorious in pop culture. I know we'll get to my grade later, but the only thing hurting it is the nostalgia factor. I have none for it, and I'm confident that if I watched this when I was younger and had nostalgia, it would help the score. But because I don't have that, and I didn't know all the twists and stuff, but I kind of had an idea because it's so old. And when you know some of the scenes in the movie, you kind of, this would have been fun in the theater for the first time with no knowledge. And that's what I was going to ask you. Did you see this in the theater when it came out?
So I actually did not. I was 10 years old when this movie came out. Yeah, so 10-year-old me. My parents were definitely not for letting me go see that movie. But I begged my parents. I'm like, can I please go see this, because I love Neve Campbell so much, Again, with me, big Scream fan, of course, everyone knows this. I'm like, oh, a new Neve Campbell movie, I have to go see this. I'm, seeing the trailers and reading things about it. My parents are like, no, that's never gonna happen. So keep dreaming. But I think it was probably like 2 years later. So I was probably like 12 years old when I saw this movie.
Did you have to sneak? Like, did you have to watch without their permission?
Yeah, I mean, my parents are pretty cool with letting me watch certain things when I was younger, and when it came to, really explicit sex scenes, that's of course where the line was drawn. If I wanted to watch Scream, they had no problems with it. Don't do violence and don't repeat, fuck over and over again, and you'll be good to go. But with this, it was, the explicit nature of it all that they were like, absolutely not. I did sneak it. Sorry, Mom and Dad. I did sneak it, and I watched it. I obviously didn't really understand it, but I enjoyed it, and it's a movie that I kind of, every year or two, I kind of cycle it through a watch. I'm glad you said what you said, because I noticed that a lot of films that I loved when I was younger, obviously with everyone, has that nostalgia factor to it. So sometimes you rewatch movies and you're like, oh, why did I like this movie so much? But with that being said, anyone who's listening to this podcast and you've never seen Wild Things, I recommend it. I'm not saying that you might love it. It's definitely a really good time. Watch the movie, come back, listen to this podcast, because we're gonna obviously spoil the shit out of everything. That's my history with it, and it's a movie I recommend to people. And when I heard you didn't see it, I was like, wow, that's crazy. I would have assumed that it was a movie that you did see.
When you see, of course, it totally lines up with me being a boy specifically, but a kid of the 90s. I'm shocked I never saw. I would have been just like you. I would have, if I don't really remember, but this would be totally a movie I would sneak. Again, my parents were pretty lenient too. Like, I remember watching movies with them with nudity in it. And again, for the most part, when you're a little boy, you just kind of laugh it off. And I think it's just part of growing up. But yeah, never saw it. And I just love the 90s. I love, and when you sent me the list, it was basically highlighted to me, because there was a few on there I hadn't seen, but I'm like, yeah, this is a perfect opportunity to finally watch this and see it beginning. It's fun when you like, I knew this was a movie with twists, so you go into it knowing you're expecting twists, and there's a threesome in it. Again, this movie is notorious for showing Kevin Bacon's penis as well. So you have all these things in pulp culture where it's like you have like these little moments throughout the movie, but you've never seen it as a whole. And it was nice to finally sit down and watch it beginning, middle, and I do think it's clever. It's not like the most clever, amazing script ever,
Sure.
but it's fun, and it's just all these actors I really like they're all really good, and they know what movie they're in, which is
Yeah.
lovely. It's not super serious, but it's just serious enough.
Hmm.
And yeah, like it was a lot of fun to finally watch it.
Oh yeah, can't wait to dive more into all of that. With that being said, I want to throw out some quick stats really fast. So Wild Things is an erotic crime thriller. It was released on March 20th, 1998. It was written by Steven Peters, directed by John McNaughton. It had a budget of $20 million. dollars.
$20 million.
20 million. Yeah, I feel like a lot of that probably came from the actors that they got with,
Yeah, your top three would have had decent salaries, but still 20 million shocks me. For again, it's I mean, it's basically one area where they shoot like in
yeah,
different locations, but they don't really go all over the world.
true.
And there's not huge stunts. 20 million surprised me. It's in yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not crazy, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so with that budget of $20 million, dollars, its opening weekend between the US and Canada, it made $9.6 million, dollars, and it ended its run in the US and Canada box office with $30.1 million. Dollars. Its international box office brought in just a little bit more at $37.1 million, dollars, rounding everything out with a total of $67.2 million dollars worldwide. So, I mean, it made its budget back plus, times
yeah,
three. So, I guess in a weird way, it was a hit. Obviously, it was not a critical darling when it came out. Over time, like you said, it's such a staple in pop culture that, it's kind of taken on its own character, and reviews have kind of changed over time. We talked about the cast, and I want to run through that again really quick too, just so we can throw those names out here. We have Kevin Bacon as Detective Ray Duquette, Matt Dillon as Sam Lombardo, Nev Campbell as Susie Toller, Teresa Russell as Sandra Van Ryan, Denise Richards as Kelly Van Ryan, Daphne Rubin Vega as Detective Gloria Perez, Robert Ragnar as Tom Baxter, Bill Murray as Ken Bowen, and
so good.
yeah, and Corey Pendergast as Jimmy Leach. Pretty good cast, right? I know you mentioned it a couple times. We got
Yeah.
some great talent in here.
Yeah, I
D
miss the days. I love like a Nev Campbell story where she's on a popular TV. In the 90s, it was big for taking specifically actresses, but actors and actresses from TV shows, give them a movie, sometimes in a lot of cases a horror movie, and see if they can do on the big screen, because now it's a lot of big time actors are going to TV. It's the
Yep.
opposite, but I kind of like the idea of, oh, Nev Campbell's popular on this TV show, let's put her in a movie. Boom, scream, and then she gets all these movies. Same with kind of like Jennifer Love Hewitt, same show, Party of Five.
Yep.
Give her a movie. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Movie does very well, and you just kind of keep going. I love that, and it happens so much in the 90s. And here you have, I mean, at this point, Kevin Bacon been around for a while. Matt Dillon and him were big in the 80s,
Yep.
and then you have two up and coming actresses, and you just kind of morph them all into the movie. And then you got Bill Murray. Like, it's just, again, the 90s was just such an awesome time for movies, because there's that middle area of like a little schlocky but fun and successful. And like, this wasn't like I was looking on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got like a 60 on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm like, that's not bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just such a great time for
Yeah.
movies.
I couldn't agree more. The 90s just had a completely different type of feel to the films. You would see a lot of the same actors going in and out, cycling through
Mm-hmm.
different films, but in a weird way, it just all worked out. Nev Campbell was on Party of Five. She did Scream, then she did Wild Things, then she did Scream 2. Scream 2 was released before Wild Things, and Wild Things came out. She also had The
Yeah.
Craft right at the beginning of all of that.
I
So,
was reading, and I don't know if you know this, was she filming Scream 2 and Wild Things at the same time?
so I read that she completed Wild Things and then immediately went to Scream 2.
Scream 2. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Because they
which I
only
mean,
released a few months apart. It's just, it seems like a year, because I believe Scream 2 and Scream 1 were released at the end of the year,
yeah,
and this was released at the beginning. So I,
yeah,
I, I was reading a couple things, and I like, even like I was trying to figure out with her hair. I'm like, because her hair is short. I'm like, okay, she could be filming both, because she kind of disappears from the movie for a bit,
yeah,
which we'll get into the plot. So I'm like, oh, she could have been filming both.
yeah, yeah. She was a busy gal at that time, that's for
Mm-hmm.
sure, and she had a lot of great things going for her. So can't hate on it at all.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the Rotten Tomatoes reviews. Wild Things on Rotten Tomatoes is at a 64% critically. And then with the audience scores, we're at a little bit lower with 54%.
See, I thought it would have been like the opposite.
I would think so too.
Yeah.
And I would be interested to see every year kind of how that
Hmm.
changes a little bit. Over at Letterboxd, we are at a 3.1 out of 5. On Metacritic, we're at a 51 out of 100 critically and a 6.5 out of 10 audience score.
Okay.
And then on Internet Movie Database, surprisingly, we're at a 6.6 out of 10. And I feel like to me, for this type of movie, 6.6 seems kind of high because I feel like Internet Movie Database is a little rough with their reviews sometimes,
Yeah.
and their scores get pretty low. So everyone kind of seems to be middle of the road, and I kind of think that's how this film is. You either really love it or you really hate it. And with that, there's obviously a lot of things to say, no matter what side of the fence you're on. So it's good to see that people are actually in the middle of all of it. Now, my question to you is, what would you rate this movie? We're going to start with the writing. Where do you rate the writing of Wild Things on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being amazing and 1 being awful?
So again, not amazing or awful.
Mhm.
I think, yeah. So I gave it a 7 out of 10. I'll just give my score first. Because again, I like a lot of my favorite movies, specifically in the 90s, aren't overly complicated. I don't think this is like a Quentin Tarantino script.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like groundbreaking. I appreciate the movie because it knows what it is. And I think it's clever enough. I do believe there's too many twists. And I was reading something too where the actors just kind of gave up because they were kind of getting confused with what actually was happening. So again, that's why I kind of landed at a 7, 5 being kind of the average. I'm like, it's better than an average script. It does keep you engaged. And again, if I would like to go on an alternate universe where I went in knowing nothing, but when you know go in knowing the stuff you know there's going to be some twists and some bends and stuff that are going to happen. Especially like I was so invested in this case, but I'm like, I know there's something up because I know where this movie goes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's like like that was interesting. And that to me, I love nuance and I love like court cases like that. But we never were inside the room. So I'm like, right off the bat, I'm like, okay, obviously there's something going on here. So that's why I kind of landed on about a 7.
Well, hey, I actually landed at a 7 out of 10 also.
Okay.
Couldn't agree with you more. I think, however, the script was written, I know there was a lot more in the script. There was a couple more twists that didn't end up making the final film, so that's always fun. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But there was definitely more twists. But I feel like the writer was really intuitive to the story he wanted to tell. I think the writing had to have been pretty decent for the director to kind of grab that exact tone and make the movie the way that it is. Like I feel the blueprint for the film was laid out pretty well. Definitely not a perfect script by any means, but I definitely think that what he was going for, he succeeded with, and he wasn't trying to make a 10 out of 10 Oscar-worthy type screenplays. Yeah,
Mhm.
7 out of 10. I'm glad we agree there. Now, what about the directing? Same exact scale.
So I went a score higher. I went 8 out of 10 because I feel this director had a vision for this movie and made almost like again made as good of a version of this movie as you can. And I think it was a good. The reason the writing and the directing get two good solid scores is they knew what they were making. They knew they were. There's a lot of cases of the wrong director directs the wrong script or the wrong actors and the wrong movie, and it just felt like for the most part, everyone was pretty engaged with what they were doing. And again, there was some, again, it's not a I mean, like it's not an incredibly difficult movie to direct, but I mean, they got solid performances. It made sense. It was coherent, and like yeah, like I think he did again 7, 8. I can go either way, but I just gave the directing a slight bump up to because I think they elevated the material a little bit. If I had to pick a stronger writer versus director or writing versus direction in this, I'd give the edge to the directing of
Damn, we're on a roll. I gave the directing an 8 out of 10 as well. Basically, along the same lines as you, talking about the writing of the film. The screenplay was a good foundation, and I think the director understood the tone and understood exactly what the writer was saying.
Yeah.
So it takes a great director, it takes a great screenplay, and it takes a great director to bring that tone to life. There was some pretty cool shots in there. One of my favorite shots, I don't know why, whenever Kelly is going into her house and her mom, Sandra, is up above on the
Right.
balcony directly above the door, and
Yeah.
the angle, the way the doors close at the same exact time.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Good shot, but
Hmm.
yeah. So I'm glad we agree there. Now, what about acting?
I couldn't give any category or like a nine because I don't think any part of this. So eight's kind of my max basically, and I just gave acting eight again because I'm like, again, these actors know exactly what movie they're in. They're a lot of fun. I get exactly what I want from them. They're believable. They're sexy when they have to be sexy. They're creepy when they got to be creepy. They're mysterious when they have to be mysterious. Like they just check everything, and they're all good to look at, and they're all you know interesting to watch and to as the plot unfolds. So I just gave them an eight as well.
Damn, Adam, get out of my mind. I have an 8 out of 10 as well. It's crazy. Yes, I think every character is presented the exact way that it was supposed to be on page by some pretty great actors. And they brought these characters to life in such an interesting way. I see a lot of complaints online about Denise Richards' acting and Matt Dillon's acting, and I actually do not agree at all. If we're speaking specifically of this film, I think that how they act their characters out, their acting on a surface level, if you put them in a different movie, might seem off, but I really think they're just feeding into the characters and they're playing these twisted games and they're lying. So I think some of their line deliveries are intentional. Even if they're not intentional,
Yeah.
it fucking works. And that's why I do not sit here and tear apart the acting in this film because I think everyone presents their characters exactly how I would perceive it based on the type of film we're watching. That's
Yeah,
just my
and
opinion.
I look at the acting too regarding like the actor and the actress, and like if I'm watching Daniel Day-Lewis, I have a different bar than if I'm watching Denise Richards.
Sure.
I know Denise Richards is not an incredible actress.
Mhm.
She had some movies. She was popular. I think she's married to Charlie Sheen. So she was in the spotlight for a while there. I don't really know what she's doing now, but again, I think she gave the best performance that she could give for this movie. Again, you could bring someone in, maybe they could do better, maybe they'd make it more nuanced. I don't know, but I think it was just a good match for this movie. And Nev Campbell, something a little bit different, a little closer to the craft versus playing Sidney
Mhm.
Prescott.
Yeah.
But she's great. But again, I don't think Nev Campbell's an amazing actress. I just think she knows. That's what I mean. All the actors and actresses in this movie, like Kevin Bacon specifically, Kevin Bacon's been in a lot of great movies, and I don't think he's a great actor. I just think he's solid, and he always comes to play Apollo 13, Mystic River, like
Mhm.
Tremors. He's just
Yeah.
awesome. And but again, he's not amazing.
Sure.
He's just again, and I get exactly what I expect from Kevin Bacon. Matt Dillon's very talented. This might be a slight. I could see him maybe like a crash performance, but still Matt Dillon is solid in this. So yeah, I don't think any of these performances are bad. I just also don't think any of them are like great.
Sure.
They're perfect for this movie.
Yep. Could agree more. What are we rating the drama of this film? How exciting was this drama to you?
I went back to seven. Yeah, there's some drama in it. I mean, like and just kind of recapping in my head, I'm like, yeah. Again, it's yeah, I think seven solid because I wasn't like on the edge of my seat, like, oh my god, like what's gonna happen? I kind of knew what was gonna happen. It's
Yeah.
unfortunately not so much predictable, but you know what you're in for when you've seen movies like this. When you know it's an erotic thriller, you know there's a sexual element and undertones throughout, and you know someone's sleeping with someone else and using their sexuality.
Yeah.
So again, a little bit of drama, sure, but like you also you're getting kind of what you expect. Like, of course, there's something more going on with this group of people. And then, yeah, so it could maybe be a six, but I'll just give it a seven because I'm like, okay, I wasn't on my phone bored. Like it
Yeah.
didn't get me to that point where I'm like leaving the room and all this stuff. Like I was at least still engaged. So I think a seven solid.
We're gonna disagree on this one. I actually gave it a 9 out of 10. But
Ooh.
with that being said, I'm kind of going back to my very first viewing of this film because
Right.
when I was that age, I didn't really know anything about the movie other than Nev Campbell, threesome, two girls making out in a pool, Kevin Bacon's
That's what my
penis.
wife said
Like,
when I said, "Do you want to
yeah,
watch it?" Oh, that one.
yeah. Yeah, like exactly. Yeah, everyone knows
Yeah.
what it is. And going back
Yeah.
to nostalgia when I first saw it, and I didn't expect twists. I was young. I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking for twists. I'm just looking at what's being presented in front of me, and then what felt like every 5 minutes, I was like, holy shit, wait,
I
what?
feel like
Huh?
you were pretty close to the age, maybe a little bit older, of like really finding this dramatic and like real
Yes.
like
Yeah.
you're in high school. Like I could
Yeah.
totally get that because they were
Yeah.
younger too. They were playing high school. They were high school or college students. It was high school.
High school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could see again me being in my 30s. I get some of it's probably worn off a little bit. So I
Yeah.
could totally see that. I could see it being higher.
Then we got the suspense in the film. How on the edge of your seat were you about all the happenings in this film?
Yeah, so I put it the same as drama. It was hard for me to separate drama and suspense. It's kind of emoting the same feelings, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so I just gave it a 7. I'm like, yeah, I'm curious to see what's gonna happen. Then once you get to a second twist, you're like, there's probably gonna be another one. So
Yeah.
you're just kind of waiting until it's like a basketball game. You're just kind of waiting the last couple of minutes, and then you get your final.
Yeah.
Okay, this
No.
is the game's gonna end.
No.
He's gonna either make
Makes
the basket or he's gonna miss it. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, with me, I did a 6 out of 10 for suspense. I think the dramatics of it all was just kind of like what is happening, but the suspense of not really getting the answers. I feel like we get the answers pretty quick. There's not like a
Yeah.
lingering effect. Once we know that there's something in play, they don't really hold on
It,
to it too much.
I mean, it's like it's this huge buildup, and then it's like a twist every 5, 6, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. So
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with that.
Cool. What about the violence in the film?
Violence would be higher, but again, like I said earlier, they cut away a lot, which
Mm.
doesn't help like questioning if something actually happened. Some of the violence, I mean, I guess you get to see it at the end, which loses a little bit of like it's solid. Sorry, the violence I gave a 6 out of 10, where I'm like 90s could have been, I'm just trying, I'm just going through the scenes in my head. I'm like, yeah, like they're fine, they're not bad. I
Yeah.
could have given it a 5. I gave it a 6. It was fine because at least we got to see them at the end when they were doing all the flashbacks. But
Yeah.
there's not a lot of violence in this movie.
No. No, not a very violent movie at all. And even the things that we do see aren't overly grotesque. I gave it a 5 out of 10. I think the hardest part for me was the whole tooth pulling with the pliers.
Yeah,
Oh, the sound, like the thought of it.
yeah.
Mm, not for me. But what about the comedy? How often did you laugh? How did you feel you were having a good time?
Uh, I not to say that I wasn't having a good time. I didn't find it that funny.
Mhm.
I was probably laughing more at things that weren't supposed to be funny. When like Bill Murray doing his Bill Murray stuff was funny. I love watching him act, and like his
Yeah.
little when they won and all that stuff was good. And um, yeah, I didn't find it that funny. I don't know how much comedy was actually in this. Again, I love like the scene when they come over to wash his car. I'm like, this is so ridiculous.
So
Like
ridiculous.
you have two high school students in white see-through shirts out cleaning your car. Like that's wrong. Like,
So wrong.
how is but it's fine, whatever. And then she
Yeah.
comes in the house, and I was laughing. I'm like, he comes in and looks at her, does like the epic shot panning up her when she's in a white shirt and she's all wet. I'm like, who does this?
Ooh, hey. Kelly
uh,
Van Ryn does that.
yeah,
That's
so I'm like, okay, yeah, I didn't find it that funny.
cool. Yeah, I mean, same here. I gave it a 3 out of 10 only because, there's some humorous line delivery. I think some of the stuff is definitely based on some kind of dark humor in a sense. It's very dry. Bill Murray obviously has a couple of solid moments
Yeah.
where you laugh a bit. But yeah, I mean, this movie wasn't made to be funny, and
Hmm.
any comedic undertone is probably not intentional, as you mentioned. So I
That's what
get
I
that.
mean. So I would give a lower score if it was just based on the actual comedic timing of the movie and actual comedy.
Hmm.
But I still gave it a 5 because I still watching it now. Again, I can only base it off my viewership now. I
Yeah,
was laughing at things that weren't necessarily supposed to be funny. So
yeah,
again, it would be a lower. It's not a comedy. There's
yeah.
no real. like even Bill Murray's not supposed to be comedic in it. It's Bill Murray,
Right.
and it's yeah, so it's not
Cool.
that funny.
That works. What about the music in the movie? I'm talking score and songs.
Yeah, so score was generic. Music, I was really hoping for some more. Again, late 90s and early 2000s are like super famous for amazing soundtracks. You got American Pie, you got all these great movies. And there was at the they play when he's driving the first time past Nev Campbell. Um
Smash Mouth, right?
yeah, and
And then
Smash, and there's
Third
another
Eye Blind.
song. Pardon?
Was it Third Eye Blind? Was that the other one?
I think so. That there was a couple at the beginning. I'm like, oh, okay, the soundtrack's gonna be great, and
Yeah,
then it just kind of,
fizzled out.
yeah. So I'm like, okay, soundtrack could have been better. So I was just a 6 out of 10. I'm like, and it was fine.
Okay. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think the score elevates it for me. I remember that score from when I was younger when I watched it the first time. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was kind of weird. Didn't really sound like something that I had heard before, especially at the time.
Hmm.
And watching it as I've gotten older, it has this like weird southern kind of like porn sound, like porn
Yeah,
music, and they kind of like play with that a little bit. I don't know, it works for me. I get it. It's, watching it now, it's not like cutting edge soundtrack by any means, but yeah, there's just something about the score that kind of sticks with me, and I think it works in a weird way. I think it captures the vibe of the film, the tone, and their location. It feels sticky, it feels summery, and
yeah.
it feels dirty, I guess you would
Well,
say.
that it wasn't on your list here, but I was impressed with the way it was shot and like um what the Everglades, right? Is
There we go.
that what it's
Yep.
called? Yeah. And I was always curious forever, the front cover with Nev Campbell and her in the water. And I was
Mhm.
always wondering like if that like was a metaphor for something, whatever. Are they in over their head? Are they is the movie is just about them being sexy in the water? But then with all the shots of the crocodiles and or
Mhm.
alligators, whatever it is, and them being out on the marshes and all that, I'm like, oh, that I like the atmosphere of the movie
Yeah.
and the vibe and stuff like that. Like they're crocodiles or alligators, whatever, with their prey, and they're just slow, they're lurking and
Mhm.
all that. So now that I've seen the movie, I'm like, oh, that front cover is awesome because you have Kevin Bacon and Matt Dillon not in the water, kind of with their
Yep.
epic poses. Then you
Yeah.
have these two girls that are kind of like, the predators type
Yeah.
thing in a sense. And it's kind of ironic because Matt Dillon's the one on trial for quote unquote being a predator for raping
Mhm.
her, or she accuses him of it.
Yep.
So that's I'd give that a high grade. That'd be up around an 8. Just like the shooting of it, the vibe, the
Yeah.
atmosphere. I love where they chose to shoot it. I thought it was great.
Awesome. Yeah, I should definitely add that category, do like a cinematography
Yeah.
category. Just yeah, we're speaking of that, same exact thing. I would say an 8 out of 10. I think it's
Mhm.
shot really well. The locations they picked were great. Again, like in a weird way, I felt the heat of
Mhm.
Florida, and
Yeah.
it captured that well. So Adam, what is your reaction to this film as a whole? What are you giving this film on a scale of 1 to 10?
So I actually just for fun added up my score, and
Gotcha.
my score actually added up pretty close to what I would give it. So seeing it as a 32-year-old dude,
Hmm.
I'm at about a 6.5.
Okay.
And I know for a fact if I watched this when I was younger, it would probably be a solid 7 or 7.5, just because again, I have zero nostalgia for it. Will I ever watch it again? Probably not. But
Okay.
it wasn't bad. It's rewatchable. I
Sure.
would rewatch it, but I also, again, I tend to older movies usually are on a rotation because you have nostalgia for them. And this is just, again, the twist. It would maybe be fun to watch it one more time, but I don't think it's like a Shutter Island where like it's a Martin Scorsese directed with little Easter eggs throughout. I
Yeah.
would almost imagine rewatching it. There's not like these little Easter eggs and stuff throughout. I think it's just a pretty straightforward boom, boom, twist, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So nostalgia hurt it for me, but again, it's still solid. And the 6.5 lines up with a lot of the scores you gave before. So I
Yeah.
think I'm pretty much there.
My overall score, again, nostalgia's probably playing into this a little bit, but I give it a 9 out of 10 because I just have so much fun with this movie. I
Whoa,
have
love it.
so much fun. I have so much fun.
Yeah.
I like introducing people to it just because I like controversial topics and conversations, and this movie is definitely something that jumps headfirst into a lot of those things.
Shown a lot of people. Have you introduced a lot of people to this movie?
Yeah, so if I hear that someone hasn't seen it, I'm usually like, oh man, you've got to watch it. And I always say, we're not trying to make an Oscar-worthy film here. Like I'm not telling you
Yeah.
that you're gonna leave watching this film being like that's the best ever. And kind of like your response, how you feel about the film. I think that to me is kind of what I understand people would get because it is a fun time. You can't say it's not fun. And even if you do know some of the twists, it's still kind of cool to see how they get there and how things are pulled off. I think
Hmm.
that alone is going to give it a decent grade. And then it's just kind of bringing all of the other nerdy film things into it that make you fluctuate that score just a little bit more. But
I was gonna ask you, just based on just the demographic of the girls you recommended to watch it versus the boys, is there a common theme? Do girls like it more, like it less? Boy, like just because it's again, erotic thriller is it was pretty popular in the 90s. I mean, you have Basic Instinct. It was kind of a trend, I guess. I don't know all of them, but there were a lot of like those sexy thriller action crime movies. And I'm just curious how other people respond to it because I mean, it's its own little genre where it's just adding a little bit of a spicy twist to it where there's lots of sex.
lots of sex. Yeah. Most are pretty equal. I will say, especially nowadays, when I'm introducing people now, a lot of women are like, "Oh, I like the idea that the women are the mastermind behind this entire thing, that
Oh, okay.
they're the ones who escape out on top." So,
Yeah.
you have maybe these horned up guys going in to watch this movie, like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get some chick action," and um, you know, a, a general consensus like that, they think they know what they're gonna get, and then everything
Mhm.
just kind of flips, and then the women end up taking control. And once you find out the women are the master behind all of it, then you get Kevin Bacon's dong, and they're like, ah, shit.
And
So
such a weird story. I've read so many things about it, like after watching it, like how like Kevin Bacon had a no nudity contract, and how he didn't know it was being shown, and how he was just okay with it and didn't care. Like it's such an interesting story because again, it's not the same, but it's similar to the whole Gone Girl thing where Ben Affleck, everyone was talking that you see his penis in it, and it's so awkwardly done where it's just like if you're gonna show it, show it. But again, it's
right.
just an awkward shot where you see it for half a second, and I'm like, and then contrast that to obviously the women where her breasts are just right out there on full display, a close up. And I've had this discussion on my podcast a lot too, and you brought up with some of the people you showed, like the whole empowerment thing where
Hmm.
you have this movie written by a man, directed by a man, and it's showcasing some female nudity and the making out and stuff. And it's like, it's that line, right? Where it's like, is it empowering or is it degrading? Why do they have to be naked? Well, they're in control, they're the masterminds. And it's just this back and forth thing that I find so fascinating, where it's like, at the end of the day, if everyone's fine with it, who cares? But
Yeah.
it's just like, it's interesting to hear that some people find this movie empowering, which I totally get it. But on the flip side, you could also have someone that's like, this is degrading. Why does she have to be naked? Why do they have to be making out in the pool and all
Hmm.
this stuff? It doesn't add anything to the story. I'm like, well,
Sure.
in this case, it kind of does
Yeah.
because he tells her, he's like, get her under control. So
Yeah.
I'm like, again, I don't want to. I know I'm a dude, and I'm like, I think the girls making up the lesbian scene really beneficial to the movie. Most
Yeah.
people will laugh at you, but it's like, no, it kind of works. Like it's not completely out of left field.
Yeah. It is. And I'm glad you said that too. You get a lot of these films where people are like, yeah, why did you need to show that nudity? Why did you need that sex
Yeah.
scene? And in this movie, it works. They're using their sexuality as a weapon. They're using it as
Mm-hmm.
a form of power.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what this movie's about. It's about the flip of power. It's about the lower class and the upper class and men and women and yeah, those power dynamics and how they're constantly flipped.
Mm.
And when you think you got it all figured out, they flip it again. So I'm glad. I like the dual conversations because
Yeah.
it's very interesting, like you said, to hear both
Hmm.
sides. So
Yeah, it's just
yeah.
fast. It's like anything. It goes beyond just talking about movies. It's just you can look at a situation, and most of the time, there's two separate sides, two separate arguments,
Hmm.
two separate cases, and in some cases, both sides are right. No one's wrong.
Sure.
It's just how you perceive it. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, who cares? They're actors and actresses. They're beautiful people. Who cares?
Right.
It's I mean, whatever. And then, but again, there are examples of like ridiculous nudity that serves no purpose to the plot, and it's literally there for either shock value or whatever. But I'm like, in this case, I'm like, whatever. It wasn't the whole movie. There's only a couple scenes. I
Yeah.
always use like the Titanic example where it's like, why does Kate Winslet have to show her boobs? Well, it's a very powerful scene for her. She's
Mhm.
cleansing herself. This is her, and she's being vulnerable and giving herself to Jack to paint her as she is, as this genuine. So I'm like, that's an example of it serves its purpose in the movie. It's not just there because. So there's lots of examples. Anyways, I mean, at the end
No,
of the day, they're yeah.
that's a great example. I really like
Yeah,
that.
and that's like a lot of cases. That's the reason. And in this case, again, could you have the scenes and shot them a little differently? Sure, but I mean, at the end of the day, if Denise Richards is fine taking her shirt off, and they're all fine, and it's consensual, and everyone's on board, and no one's getting hurt, who cares? We're humans. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong watching it. So
Right.
and again, it's serving the story in some regard, like even the sequence too, because in that first moment, it's when the twist happens and
Hmm.
you see the control. You think Matt Dillon's in control because he's telling them what to do, and they're doing it willingly. But at the end of the day, when you know the twist, it's like, oh, she was in control the whole time.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's clever. Again, that's why I think this movie needs a little more credit than what some people may give it.
Yeah, I agree. And then going back to Kevin Bacon's nudity, the reason you're correct. I have read multiple things about this, and he is the executive producer on the film.
Yeah,
And you would hear people talk about how he mentions that if he was pissed about the scene, that he could have just sued himself. It wouldn't have worked out anyway. But my
yeah,
biggest thing is, how do you not know that that's being filmed? Also, I understand method acting and really getting into the character, but like you also didn't really have to be nude. You could have
no,
had any type of coverings on. I mean, it's done all the time, and regardless, it doesn't matter if it was intentional or not. It's just it's funny that he's always denying that it was intentional, but at the same
yeah.
time, like, but why were you naked then?
Yeah. Well, again, if you want to talk about from a narrative standpoint, this is the first. This is his twist reveal of who
Hmm.
he actually is. He's
Yeah,
been in Suits the whole movie, so if you want to get really film schooly,
yeah,
well, we're seeing him for who he is.
right,
Oh my
right.
God, he's been behind this the whole time. There's his penis. Like
There's his penis.
it's
Yeah.
again to me, it's just awkward because from what I read, he thought he was covered by Matt Dillon because
Hmm.
it is like a split second. To me, I'm like, give me all or give me nothing. If he wants to show it and do it, I'm fine with it. I don't
Right,
care.
right.
Have him walk right out and let's look at it. Like if he's gonna do it, it's just so awkward where you can tell the blocking was set up to do it, but maybe Matt Dillon moved in a different spot or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as Gone Girl. And again, for anyone who's seen Gone Girl, it's the same thing. Both of them meet in the shower to talk because they don't want wires. They have to be completely vulnerable with each other. It serves the purpose, but again, it's an awkward shot where it's panning down and it just kind of awkwardly stops and he leaves frame. I'm like, just show it. And this is the problem where it's like, I get the case of people complaining, specifically women. Why are the women always naked? Why can't we see more? Why can't we see men's junk more? Well, this is the example. Like, just show it if you're going to show
Yeah.
it, or don't show it. Don't this
Right.
weird middle ground where it's just like, oh, there it is.
Right, right, right. Yeah, that's why I wish like even at this point in his career, I wish he would just own up to it and be like,
Yeah,
yeah, like I wanted to seize the opportunity because then he goes on and does Hollow Man and does the same exact things.
and it looks great. Like he should be proud of himself. He looks great. So
Good job, Kevin.
yeah,
Getting into the nudity and everything, Nev Campbell does not show any part of her body simply because she had a contract, a no nudity clause in her contract as well that came from Party of Five. That
that
she
makes
was,
sense. Yeah.
yeah, so she was not technically allowed to show anything. Does
Hmm.
that mean she wanted to or they even wanted her to? I have no idea,
Yeah.
but it makes sense with her not showing anything. Denise Richards had just gotten a breast reduction and she had just gotten it completed right before they started filming this.
Oh.
And she felt like they were still a little bit too big, but she was comfortable doing the nudity because, again, as we've been talking about, she thought it served its purpose. Where
Hmm.
prior to filming Wild Things, she was doing Starship Troopers, and the director asked her to go naked for that film, and she said, absolutely not. So whenever Wild Things came out and the director of Starship Troopers found out that she went nude for Wild Things, I guess he ended up calling her And
Oh boy.
he's like, oh, so you went nude for that film, but not for my film. And she said the same exact thing. I guess it was not in the script for her to be nude in Starship Troopers. So she
Mm,
felt like it was something that was trying to glorify her body to get more
yeah.
people to come to the theater. Whereas Wild Things was already written in. And I guess the director of Wild Things, I guess he let the whole cast know before we film these scenes, this is what's on the page. I'm not going to do anything to change any kind of blocking or anything like that. This is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to get. And everyone was comfortable with it. Obviously, they did not have intimacy coordinators then,
I was just
as
gonna
it,
say that. Yeah, this is
yeah.
pre-intimacy coordinators. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was looking online for some things from Denise and Nev about how they felt about doing these scenes, and it seems pretty neutral. They're just kind of like, well, it was we knew what we signed up for. It was awkward at times. We drank some margaritas and some wine before a couple of the scenes, and we just got
Hmm.
comfortable. We laughed about it, and it is what it is. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're talking about all of our points of views of this film, and what I've been liking to do for season two is to bring up a couple of, I call them absurd reviews, and I say absurd reviews only because the content of the reviews sometimes are really ridiculous and they make me laugh,
Hmm.
good or bad. So I'm going to start off with one, and then I'm going to have you follow. But I found one on Internet Movie Database, and they gave it a 1 out of 10.
Oof.
The person's name is Link VZ Dane. So Link VZ Dane titled the review, "If you are a Christian, you shouldn't be watching this movie." This is their review, and this is what he goes on to say, or they go on to say. This is a terrible movie based upon one thing and one thing alone: sex. Gay sex. When my brother rented this movie, I was astounded at the extremely high sexual content, plain and simple. If you plan to go to heaven, unlike the rest of the people that have wrote the other reviews saying the threesome scene is superb, do not watch this movie. It leaves you feeling dirty inside, very dirty. Bottom line, Satanist. Watch it. Good people, have a better time with something less raunchy. Like, what
Yeah.
the fuck?
I don't like. Yeah, again, people can say what they want. When you bring really subjective values and opinions into movie reviews, I don't like it because it's becoming too subjective. I think at the end of the day, every review is relatively subjective, but when you bring in Christianity and religious stuff, it's like that's not doing the movie justice because obviously you're against this.
Right.
And yeah, that review is just when I hear you saying that, I'm like, that's just I would skim right past that because that's
Mhm.
I want something that's a little more neutral and
Yeah.
objective.
Yep.
But sure, I totally get I can understand someone feeling that way about this movie.
Yeah. And my biggest thing too is just like, then why the hell did you watch it? And
Yeah.
if your brother's the one watching it, and he's all like, oh, these girls are hot. I like the threesome girls making out, so cool. Let your brother have that. You don't have to have that. And if you don't want to hear it from your brother, then don't listen to your brother. But
Yeah.
I don't know. And at the same exact time, I'm just gonna say this: the movie is very sexual in nature, but when it comes to like physical sex scenes, there's not really a lot. There's
There's two.
there's two, and obviously they're very prominent.
Well,
It
sorry,
was
three. Three, the mom. There's a brief sex scene with the
no,
mom too.
I always forget about that too.
We don't
But
care. We
yeah,
don't care about that one.
yeah, she. I do love how she just answers the phone though while they're having sex,
Yeah,
and
no, it's great.
she's so annoyed.
Um, Yeah, no, it's equivalent to like a super Christian person reviewing a porn movie they watched. It's like,
Yeah,
why are you watching? I don't care what your opinion is of this thing.
right,
Like, obviously, you're not gonna like it,
right. This was not made
and
for you.
that's what I mean. And who's reviewing those anyway? Like, they're not like,
Yeah. Yep.
like, But yeah, again, I when you're saying that, I'm like, okay, that you're totally, you have a right to your opinion. You didn't like it. You're never gonna watch it again, and you're
Mhm.
allowed to share that. But it's like I mean, I don't think you're going to sway the average moviegoer with that review because you're spewing your beliefs all over it. Where it's like not everyone shares those beliefs.
Right. Absolutely. Did you find some absurd reviews?
I got a good one and a bad one.
Perfect.
Uh, um, Trashy and shockingly intelligent. Wild Things will surprise you like few films can.
Wow.
I didn't write down. I think it was like a 4 out of 5 or 4.5 out of 5 or something like
Okay.
that. But I'm like, oh, interesting. I
Yeah.
would never call this movie shockingly intelligent.
No.
But I just love how passionate this person was about. I mean, I feel like this movie changed their life.
Yeah.
Wild Things will surprise you like few films can. Um, I don't quite agree, but again, I appreciate
Yeah.
their passion for this movie. And then I have a bad, sorry, that was the good one. This is the bad one. In a perfect world, all bad movies would be as outrageously entertaining as Wild Things, a delirious wallow in sun-baked sleaze that revels in its own awfulness. I'm like, I appreciate that sentence.
Yeah.
Again, this kind of goes with what I'm saying. The movie knows what it is. It's not
Hmm.
trying. And again, I can give a movie credit for knowing exactly what it's making. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Austin Powers knows what Austin Powers is, and it's great for that. It's not an amazing movie, but
Yeah.
it knows what it is.
Yep.
And American Pie and all these movies, especially at this time, they
Yeah.
know what they're making. They're catering to their audience. Again, it made $60 million. Like
Yeah.
it's no surprise. Like it knows what it is.
Yeah, I think sometimes people go into films and they don't fully grasp the tone of the film.
Yeah.
So if you're taking this 100% seriously, you're
Mm.
obviously missing the point.
Hmm.
So I found another review. This one is a 2 out of 10, and it comes from TSS 5078 on Metacritic. And they say, for years, people have been talking to me about this smart, sexy thriller that spawned 3 sequels. There's also something to be said for mysteries with twists and turns that make you think. But a half hour into this thing, it was easy to figure out why none of the stars came back for any of the sequels. This movie certainly plays up the eye candy angle with two of the most beautiful women in Hollywood, and at first glance, it seems like it's going to be a pretty good film. But then the twists and turns start kicking in. Throwing in a twist can make an ordinary film spectacular, but when you do it every 5 minutes, it just confuses the hell out of every single audience member, and that's what happened here. By the end of Wild Things, I didn't know what the hell was going on anymore. As for the performances, they range from the brilliant Nev Campbell to the horrid Matt Dillon, and feature a ton of cameos in between. I wanted to like this movie. There are some very good looking people who like to take their clothes off, and that does tend to help you focus more. But the question is, what are we even focusing on? I concluded that there really isn't a reason to watch 2 hours of pure whatever when you can find all the naked celebrity pictures you could ever want in 5 minutes online. Like, what?
And to correct them too, three of the characters died, so that's why they didn't come back for the
Yeah,
sequels.
idiot. Someone didn't pay attention.
But I don't think you were going to get any of them back for any of the sequels, obviously.
Yeah.
That was lovely. I appreciated hearing all of that.
Yeah, it's whatever. I don't know. Some of these reviews sometimes I think that's why I started doing this because I read people's reviews sometimes for things like even like restaurant reviews, anything. And I'm just like, that's not really a review. If you some people are just like, oh, the movie was stupid. Okay, but like why was the movie stupid?
Yeah.
Why
Why
did you
did you
think
think it was stupid?
right and right?
But about it.
Yeah, like elaborate. So I have one more, and this one was a 10 out of 10. The title of it is from a user called Barky44, and he says, hot, hot, hot. Well, with all the poor votes for Wild Things, I just had to pop in here and give it a big fat 10. I love this movie, and yes, I love it because it is so hot. There are certain movies like Wild Things, Body Heat, and others that just revel in pure sexuality, not of just young bodies, but the sexiness of mystery and deceit and suspense and conspiracy and swampy locals. Anyone can find sexy actors and throw them up on a screen to let them move around, but it takes special talent to truly make a movie hot. It takes great writing skills to make romance novel dialogue and make it presentable. It takes great acting to deliver such lines in a believable yet sexy way. It takes great directing to properly pace and shoot the action and pull up the suspense. It even takes great set direction and location spotting. It's not an easy thing to pull off, and these people pull it off perfectly. This is the torrid love affair at its sleaziest best. This is such a masterful take on the particular genre. Do not give it less than a 9. I would consider it a must watch for anyone who's not a total prude.
That's true. If you're not a prude, you may really enjoy it. I do agree with that. That
Yeah.
the both those reviews were wonderful.
Yeah. So it's always fun to kind of hear everyone's side of it. Obviously, that's the basis of this podcast. I like to hear people's reactions to things and kind of talk it out. So obviously I can't talk to them, so I have to share
Yeah.
their reviews with them, and I'm glad we can get our feelings out. We talked about the sequels. There are 3 sequels. None of them have any super notable actors in them. They're all. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I didn't watch any of them because I never saw a point, and they just looked like
Are
very
they
amateur.
straight to DVD or video
Straight to
or whatever?
DVD.
Yeah.
Yep, all straight to DVD, and they, from my understanding, again, I didn't watch them, but they basically use a lot of the same storylines and even some of the same dialogue and present it in different types of scenarios. They all take place in the glades of Florida. I don't know what any connections are. Like I'm sure someone was like Kelly's long lost cousin or something who also
Yeah.
wanted some money too. I don't know. So guys, there are sequels out there. Just ignore them. From my understanding, they're not worth your time, and this movie's fine standing on its own. With that being said, it's 2025. If we were to greenlight ourselves, if we were to greenlight a remake of Wild Things, would you do it? And if you did, who would you cast in these roles? I'm talking the main four: Sam Lombardo, Kelly Van Ryn, Detective Ray Duquette, and Susie Toller. Recast them.
So this was fun, and I had a brief moment where I'm like, again, if they're obviously remaking it, to a T, obviously there's some infamous scenes in this that the actors and actresses would be happy, they could reshoot it or whatever. But I was thinking about it, I'm like, I kind of have an idea, and I'm gonna, again, it's a little weird because two of these actresses are younger than I am,
Okay.
but anyways, I think it because of the connection that I have. So for the two male leads, Matt Dillon and Kevin Bacon, I found two actors that are right around the same age and the same age difference.
Okay.
So I went with Matt Dillon's character, who was 34 when he did it. I got Jack Quaid at
Okay.
he's a year younger. He's 33 right now, but he's
Okay.
hot right now, and I
Yeah.
could see him in that role because he was in Scream 5. He was in Companion. I could see the kind of twist-esque thing going on with this character where he seems nice and innocent, and then he's kind of shady. I love that casting. I like all of my casting.
Yeah.
And then Kevin Bacon, who was 6 years older, it was basically 40 when he did Wild Things. I have Wyatt Russell because I
Okay.
wanted to do the double sons of Hollywood icons of
Okay.
Dennis Quaid and Kurt Russell's kid. So Wyatt Russell is a little bit older. He's actually 39 right now, turning 40 this year. So the ages are almost identical.
That's
And
wild. Yeah.
again, what Wyatt Russell as the straight laced detective for most of the movie. And then again, I could see the twist happening where he was in like 22 Jump Street. He was in a great episode of Black Mirror. I can totally buy that. Now the two actresses, and again, I probably gave this more thought than I should have,
No, I
but
love it. I love it.
Neve Campbell was 25 and Denise Richards was 27 around when they did Wild Things. So I've got two actresses that were actually in a music video together. And in the
Okay.
music video, they actually have a brief moment where they're making out. So I'm like, this is pop culture reference of something that's
Yeah.
actually happened.
Yeah.
I have Jenna Ortega and Sabrina Carpenter.
Perfect. You know what? That's perfect.
And I'm
Honestly.
like, Jenna Ortega is Neve Campbell. She was literally in Scream.
Hmm.
She's a brunette. I'm like, she kind of has the social, she can play the socially awkward and then she can play the twist. And then Sabrina Carpenter is like super popular right now, but she was an actress. She started on the Disney Channel and she was in that Emergency a few years ago. And she's actually a pretty solid actress. So I could see her again. She's notorious right now and infamous, famous, whatever you want to call it, for her quote unquote sexual presence at her concerts. So I think she would play well in this role where again she's basically seducing this character and then the twist, she's behind and all that. I think this would be good casting. Again, their ages, Jenna Ortega's 23 turning 24 and Sabrina Carpenter's 26. So all the ages almost line up perfectly. And you're going to bring in two big audiences. You got Jenna Ortega, who's got a big audience right now.
Hmm.
People love her. And then
Yep.
you're going to, it's similar like a Taylor Swift, you have all of Sabrina Carpenter's followers from her musical career.
Yeah.
So I think, again, a minimal budget, I wouldn't spend very much on this thing. You could easily be profitable and bring enough people. It'd be like, because I could just picture the trailers. Like you got Sabrina Carpenter, Jenna Ortega. The only problem with this is that it's a remake. You kind of know what's going to happen. So this would be a remake where I'd be like, follow a lot of the same beats, but you got to do something a little different. Whether that
Hmm.
is get rid of some of the twists and just make and change a twist, you'd have to do at least one thing different. It can't be a beat for beat remake. It wouldn't be exciting. you would need to change it up a little bit and like take all the famous scenes and kind of flip them a little bit. But again, when I was doing this, I'm like, I pictured the front cover of the two of them in the same spot as Nev Campbell, and I'm like, oh, this kind of works. And you have
Yeah.
Jack Quaid and White Russell top. So I probably put too much thought into that, but I'm like, huh, I would totally go see that.
Yeah, no, I would definitely go see that too. I think that is fantastic casting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would definitely see that movie for sure, and I definitely think people would show up for that.
Yeah.
I'm envisioning what you said as like a movie remake. My thing is,
Also, it could be a great miniseries too. You could do like a 10-episode miniseries as well.
yeah, so that's where my brain goes
Yeah.
with doing a remake of this because one of my negatives about the film is like you said, there's so many twists to a point where you're just kind of like, are there too many twists? But I
Yeah.
do feel like the last half hour literally is every 5 minutes they're like, oh, here's something
It's
else, here's
rushed.
something new. Yeah, like I almost feel like it would benefit for being longer. Maybe not in a theatrical form, but if we could broaden it out, kind of do a little bit more character studies, kind of bring in that Davy storyline a little bit more. I think we could definitely make a pretty good miniseries out of it. So I guess in my mind, I was kind of casting for a miniseries.
Yeah.
So wasn't going as big. It was Jenna Ortega and Sabrina Carpenter. Um, but that is perfect casting. Like yours is way better than mine.
Yeah.
So my cast, I kind of went with ages a little bit as well, not necessarily to match up with the actors that portray them now. I got the girls to be in their early 20s
Yeah.
and the guys are both in their mid or late 30s. So
Yeah, that was obviously I wouldn't be scouting out actresses that are
yeah, yeah,
17
it's
years old right
but
now.
well the reason I say that though, I feel like a lot of these TV shows and movies now when they're casting these high school characters, they're literally casting like 17 and 18-year-olds and then getting like body doubles to do
No.
certain
Yeah,
things.
I don't like that.
That's
Yeah,
it's
it's
so
weird.
weird to me. Yeah. People make fun of the idea that Denise Richards was 27 when she did Wild Things. She
Yeah,
was in
she
her
was yeah, it wasn't that
yeah.
noticeable.
Yeah,
I've seen
I don't
worse.
think so. Yeah, I don't think so either. And everyone makes fun of the 90s movies because that's what everyone did, but
Yeah.
a lot of the times it works.
Hmm.
So, my casting, I'm definitely casting the miniseries version of this. So for Sam Lombardo, I have riding off the White Lotus wave, I have Patrick Schwarzenegger as Sam Lombardo.
Oh, oh yes, very
So
good.
you got your big name draw there. He's obviously he's got some sort of swagger that everyone,
Yeah.
seems to pay
Yeah.
attention to, and I also feel like he could play crazy pretty well. So,
Yeah.
you can have this draws people in, and then he's a little bit of a nut job as well. With Kelly Van Ryan, which is Denise Richards' character, I have Emily Allen Lind. She was on the reboot of Gossip Girl.
Okay.
She was in Doctor Sleep. She played Snakebite Andy. And then she was in the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire from last year,
Right. Okay.
and she played Melody. So she has like this kind of like Sabrina Carpenter, I guess, kind of this like she's got a cute face, kind of girl next door, but at the same exact time, she kind of seems tough, like she would
Yeah.
yeah, beat the shit out of you. Detective Ray Duquette, which is Kevin Bacon's character, I casted Alex Pettyfer. I think he kind of has like that rugged
Right. Right.
um,
I know him. Yep.
I can see him being like a crooked cop again, playing up the, attractive factor here. All these people to me are fairly attractive. I think that serves its purpose well there. And then for Susie Toller, I have Mia Rogers. She was on a TV show on HBO called The Sex Lives of College Girls, and
Right.
she was like that like dry, sarcastic humor. So I think I would like to see her kind of play this, trashy version of her pretty self. And when I say trashy version, I mean the character's pulling up the trash to make a statement and,
Yeah.
really come out on top. So those are my people. Obviously not as well known as yours, but I definitely feel like both of those would draw a decent amount of crowds and good storytelling and obviously good acting. So,
We can be like totally real. If they're doing this, they're casting Sydney Sweeney in this.
oh my God.
Like,
And I'm actually really glad you didn't say Sydney Sweeney because I feel like that's such like the obvious answer
yes,
because
it'd be the first phone call they would
yeah,
100% make.
yeah,
But again, to me, when I look at mine, I'm like, what could I do if like quickly thinking? For me, it would be my twist on the twist of it would be somehow incorporating it that the twist compared to the original is that Sabrina Carpenter in this version, her the um uh what's her name? Denise Richards' character,
Kelly.
she's the one behind it and she
Mm.
gets away with it. So you think it's going the one direction, you lay the breadcrumbs the exact same way, but maybe in a different way. In my version, Jenna Ortega, you think it's going the direction of she's not actually dead. Oh, she actually is dead, and then like her body's revealed, and
Okay.
then you realize, and then that's what I would do, because a movie like this, you cannot do the exact same thing. There's no point. You got
Mhm.
to change it up, and then you got to change something up with the Jack Quaid and Wyatt Russell version of it. And then it can all end up in the same spot. Three of them can die, but in my version, just because of the popularity, I think it would help with word of mouth if the twist is Sabrina Carpenter gets away with it. She has a music video she just did about her. I think her and I think she got Dolly Parton in it, where it was very like Goodbye Earl, like
Mhm.
the getting killing the men and getting away with it, riding off the sunset. So I
Yeah.
think that would be the way to go. I don't think the world would want to see Sabrina Carpenter die.
Yeah.
So in this case of the two of them, I could safely kill off Jenna Ortega and make that the twist, where Sabrina Carpenter's actually the one behind it and she gets away with it. And again, you don't have to do everything forbidden. You don't even have the pools. You could change the scenes and just modernize them, because I would totally imagine probably Sabrina Carpenter may even be a producer on the movie and change things up. Maybe the seductive scene isn't in a pool. Maybe it's some other way.
Mhm.
And maybe you get rid of the threesome and you change it. And maybe you get rid of the court case. Maybe more of the movie's the court case. Like there's a lot that you can do, and instead of making it just a shot for shot remake.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot there. Those are the best remakes, where you take something that's okay, solid, fine, average, and try to make it better. Like you're not
Mhm.
going to remake Jaws, you're not going to remake Godfather. Like those movies, Shawshank Redemption, they're fine.
Yeah.
It's these movies that it's like, let's take it, it's good, let's
Mhm.
try to make it better. Let's turn it like, and don't strip away all the DNA, but just enough to make it interesting. And like if it's a mini series, like add a cliffhanger at the end of each episode. Like,
Mhm.
whoa, where's this going?
Yeah.
And then yeah, so that's and I probably gave it way too much thought, but
No, Adam, I'm all for you putting as much thought into this stuff as
yeah,
possible because I live for this shit. I love it. No, I think great casting. I'm definitely seeing your film, and I can't wait to see what new twist you put in on it.
yeah. I just gave it
So,
away.
yeah, perfect. Yeah, guys. Now we already know the ending to Adam's movie. I'm going to assume just because it's not as accessible, you watch the R-rated version and not the unrated version.
I have to say, whatever this says about me, but I didn't know there was two versions of this movie, and when the pool scene didn't continue to what I have seen, I'm
Mhm.
like, huh. So I researched it. I'm like, oh, there's an unrated cut with like an extra minute or two of footage, and I'm like, because again, it's not like some cuts are like 10, 15 minutes difference. This apparently, like, I don't know if you have the actual statistics, but it's like a minute longer, isn't it? Or it's like not much.
I think it's 6 minutes longer.
It's
In
6 minutes. Okay.
Yep, and there's actually some alternate dialogue in different scenes. Nothing that's like super noticeable or notable. Like
Yeah.
nothing stands out that like really changes anything. But there are a couple things in the movie in this cut that change certain things.
Well,
And
what I
there's
don't know anything that's in them. Like
perfect.
what other scene was cut?
I'm gonna tell you all about it. I'm gonna walk
Okay.
you through gonna walk you through this unrated version. So I do have the unrated version. Arrow released a 4K remaster and they included the unrated version, but I also had it on DVD. And it was
Yeah.
actually the version that I used to watch all the time. So preparing for this, I wanted to really just watch the R-rated one. I just pulled up, I got some of this from Internet Movie Database and then some other places on the internet just to come everything up. But there is an extended opening. Duquette and Perez talk about Susie being locked up for 6 months and Lombardo being a sex hound. So we find out in the very beginning, after Susie walks out of the sex crime seminar,
Yeah.
they go outside after the end of the seminar and they're walking through the crowd and they point out that she left the seminar and they were like, "Who is that girl?" And Kevin Bacon says that he had her locked up and her friend Davy had passed away.
Right.
We find that little info there. The threesome between Susie, Sam Lombardo, and Kelly is actually a little bit longer. There's a couple extra shots, a couple more boob shots, and
Of course.
a lot more kissing.
Nice.
Yep. So that's a little bit extended there. And then, as you mentioned, the extended pool scene, so we get a little bit more there as well.
Yes.
A lot more touching, a lot more tongue,
Well,
and
again, regarding like pop culture and iconic, that's the arguably the image that you think of in that movie, is that literally cut out of the movie. Because to me, I'm watching it, I'm like, because it immediately cuts to Kevin Bacon in the office watching it on TV. And
Mhm.
my face probably would have been hilarious. I'm like, wait, what? Like, you expect it to keep. I had no idea it was going to cut, and that's like the image that you think of with that movie.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally get that. We also had a scene with Bowden and Baxter having lunch together at a Mexican restaurant, just chit-chatting. It's
Okay.
really not important at all, so we know why that's gone. There is an alternate ending, and this is what I really want to focus on here. I want to hear your thoughts. I'm going to read what it says. Susie's grandmother, Ruby, takes Detective Perez on a tour of Susie's home. She shows her a family album and reveals that she is not Susie's real grandmother, but that she is raised on her own. In an odd twist of events, Ruby then reveals that old man Van Ryan, Kelly's grandfather, had once gotten a young girl pregnant. He brought her to the Glades to live in the trailer park where she gave birth and died within a year because of alcoholism. Ruby then took Susie in her home shortly afterwards. Ruby then tells Detective Perez that Sandra Van Ryan is Susie's half sister, so Susie had technically been having sex with her own niece, Kelly, throughout the entire film.
Oh my god! Wow. So
Yep,
that
and
was filmed that, and that's in the unrated cut.
it's in the unrated cut. Yep, yep.
Wow.
So then it adds a whole nother layer to all the twists. Then you kind of ask yourself, is Susie in on this whole thing? Does she know her history? And is she really that diabolical that she knows what she has to do and is just like, well, guess I'm gonna hook up with my niece for a little bit to get this whole
Oh
thing
my
played
god.
out.
Her niece, and but they're like the same age.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a weird one.
So that's
Yeah.
in that cut. Yeah.
Wow.
And then there are actually two added scenes in the revealing ending during the credits. We actually get two more scenes handed to us. One scene, Kelly comes to see Sam Lombardo at the bar and gives him some cocaine to try. She is dressed very sexy in red, and they end up fooling around. And that is when Susie takes those pictures of him that she presents to him
Yeah.
in the scene. Then there's another one where we actually see Sam Lombardo making love to Kelly. He's having sex with her from behind. And this is the same scene, the car wash scene where she's supposedly raped. So we actually see what happens when that door closed and before it opens up. And we're watching them have sex. And it's obviously very consensual.
Yeah.
And she keeps repeating the line, "No little girl is going to make me come," over and over and over again while they're having sex. And he says, "Keep saying the line for me, keep saying the line for me."
So what you're saying is I have to rewatch the unrated version of this movie.
So that was my goal. My goal was to get you to go back and watch this unrated version, just so you can get a little bit more this time around and see how you really feel about it at the end of it
So you
all.
said it's 6 minutes longer. So I believe the cut I watched was an hour 40 or hour 50. So does this make it like 2 hours or just under 2 hours?
I think it's like an hour and 53 or 54 minutes. Yeah, so just
Okay.
under. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I guess I'll rewatch it.
It's so good. It's so good. I mean, the whole storyline with Kelly and Susie being related, I feel like is a little bit much, but it also just adds another level
Why not?
to
At this point, why not?
exactly like
Why
it
not do that?
at that point you're just kind of like accepting it because you're like,
Yeah.
okay, perfect.
Yeah.
But and
And they're
then in
not,
the
are they blood related?
yeah, so they'd be blood
You said
related.
half, like full niece, not like,
Yeah, it would be half niece. Yeah, so
okay.
yeah,
Yeah, it's still weird.
still weird. Yep. Very yeah, 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 yeah. And then there's a couple of things that were in the original screenplay that the studio did not back up. There's multiple stories about this, but from what I find, the general consensus seems to be this, which I'm also going to read. The original final twist was intended to be that Sam and Ray were to be revealed to be lovers.
That's what I was expecting.
And
Yeah,
honestly, that would make sense to me. And I think in a weird way, it actually would have benefited the film in terms
sure.
of and like I don't know, like the whole shower scene kind of had this weird sexual subtext to it.
Of course.
Um, so it's there, and I feel like in a weird way, I forget the exact line of dialogue, but uh, Matt Dillon makes a reference to something being really big, and he's like staring down at him, and then looks back up. So like, I feel like all like the little pieces are there, and they wanted to allude to it. There's some outlets that say that Matt Dillon did not want to do that storyline, and the studio was like, "I agree with you, let's not do it." But it seems to be the general consensus is the studio thought there was going to be there's too much girl on girl, there's too much threesome, and there's just adding too many layers of sex that they were nervous about. So I don't know. I don't know what the real story is, but at the
Why
end of the day,
not?
yeah, I
Knowing
mean,
this, why not?
right, and that's the thing. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, why wouldn't you have done that? Just
Yeah,
you don't even if you don't see them doing anything, it doesn't even have to be a physical thing, but
yeah,
to even give us more of alluding to that, they decided because they got rid of that final twist, because they got rid of the two guys being in on it together because they're a couple, they decided that they're not going to do that. So they wanted to make one more little twist, and that and that twist, the final twist that they got was making Bill Murray a part of it as
right,
well
right,
in
right.
terms of giving
Yeah,
her the money. So that part wasn't in the original script, but they thought that that was going to be great. It was supposed to be taking place in the Caribbean, but it was shot on Long Beach, California. They paid for the additional expense out of pocket for $1 million dollars and added fake sand and beach shacks to make it look like they were in the Caribbean.
wow.
Yeah, so very interesting unrated cut. It doesn't change the film too much, but it definitely gives you that one extra storyline of a weird quasi-incestuous
Yeah,
sex thing happening. So
yeah,
that's something. The more you know, right? The more you
yeah.
know.
No, if I ever rewatch this movie, I will have to watch the unrated version.
Yes, please do. So we can't do 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon because no surprise, guys, Kevin Bacon's in this movie. My little game I'm doing for season two doesn't really work with this, which is funny, Adam, because the last episode we did together, the first one we did, had
Kevin
Kevin
Bacon
Bacon in
was in
it.
it.
So we had to do another episode, and we had to get Kevin Bacon out of our picture that we do.
Yes.
We'll plan that.
So yeah,
Um,
the next movie we do will not have Kevin Bacon in it.
no Kevin
So
Bacon.
sorry, you've been playing 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon after all your episodes?
Yep. So every single episode of season two, I have done 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. And yeah, I think there's only 3 episodes I didn't do it in because he was in it. So
Hmm. And sorry, I know about the Notorious game, but basically it's just connecting actors or actresses, and they're basically saying that you can any five that you say you can eventually get to Kevin Bacon. Is that about right?
that's it.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah. So you're just kind of like, we're in this movie. I pick an actor, and I
yeah.
try to usually do an actor that's kind of far removed, and we try to see who can get to Kevin Bacon quicker, connecting films. So
Okay, well, just for fun, let's pick a random movie. I just want to kind of do it.
okay,
It's a movie you've seen recently.
let's do Meet the Parents. Let's do um, Owen Wilson. We need to connect Owen Wilson. So Owen Wilson was in Meet the Parents, which is the movie that we're doing. Then you would go to the next movie.
Okay. No, I'm really curious. I've never actually done it with Kevin Bacon before.
I'll be like, okay, Adam, how fast did you get to Kevin Bacon using Owen Wilson? So Owen Wilson was in this movie with, I'm just going to make something up really quick. So
Oh,
Owen,
sorry. So it's in. You already got it done. You don't do it live on the air.
yeah. Yep.
Oh, I
No,
totally screwed this whole thing up.
no,
Sorry.
it's okay. No. I mean, but it's fun though. I'm just gonna make up movies really fast. But Owen Wilson, the movie we're doing is Meet the Parents. So Owen
Yeah,
Wilson is in Meet the Parents. He is also in a movie called I'm just gonna make something up, Twisters. And
yeah.
in Twisters, he's with this person, and that person was with Kevin Bacon in such and such movie.
Okay, well, you ready? I just did it in my head. Owen
Perfect.
Wilson's in Meet the Parents. Owen Wilson's in Meet the Parents. Owen Wilson is in You, Me, and Dupree with Matt Dillon, and Matt Dillon is in Wild Things with Kevin Bacon.
Beautiful.
No,
You did it. You did
there you
it.
go.
Look
Done.
at you, killing it, killing
So
it.
easy.
Yeah. So next episode, we will definitely do one of those.
Yeah, so that's I've known about this Kevin Bacon thing, and obviously I get it. It's fun. I've just never actually sat down and did it. So I just did my first 6 degrees
Okay,
of Kevin Bacon.
congratulations. Look at
Woo!
you.
All right.
You're a pro now.
Yeah.
I love it. We're gonna play a quote game. That's gonna be our game for this episode. So
Okay.
what I did was I got four quotes. Two of them are from Wild Things, and two of them are from something different. I'm
Okay.
gonna I'm gonna read them all to you. I'm gonna say number one, number two, number three, number
Yeah.
four, and you tell me what two are from Wild Things, and then
Okay.
bonus if you can guess what the other ones are from.
Okay. So
All right.
two are okay. So there's five total. Two are from Wild Things. What were the other? Sorry.
No, you're good. So there's four quotes total. Two are from
Four
Wild
quote.
Things. Yep.
Two are from
Two
Wild
are
Things.
from Wild
Gotcha.
Things, and then two are from others. Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
So
Ready.
number one is people aren't always what they appear to be. Don't forget that. Number two.
Oh.
Number two is She's quite cute, you know, young, supple breast, a tight, firm ass, uncharted pootie. Next one, number three. Did you enjoy being the guest of the state? And number four. Well, she got that magna cum laude pussy on her that done fried up your brain.
Yeah, I'm totally guessing. I don't know for 100% certainty. The last one you just said, is that from Wild Things?
It is not. That one is from Basic Instinct.
Oh my God. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so that rules out that one. So, was say the first one again?
The very first one was people aren't always what they appear to be. Don't forget that.
Is that Wild Things?
That is Wild Things. Good job.
Okay. Okay. And
And then
then say the second one again.
and then we got she's quite cute, you know, young, supple breasts, a tight, firm ass, uncharted pootie.
Well, that lines up for this movie, well, whether it was said or not. And I know the third one you said as something about the state.
Yep, that one is did you enjoy being the guest of the state?
So I feel like this could be a twist, but it sounds like the second one would be from this movie. So I'll go with that one as the Wild Things one.
The state one?
No, sorry, the second one, the
The
state
second one,
one.
okay.
I'm saying as non.
Okay, so the state one is actually Wild Things, and
Oh,
the other one is Cruel Intentions.
that's I totally forgot. That movie was like right around the same time too.
Yeah, yeah, it was actually literally 1 year later. It was March of '99.
March of '99. Okay,
Yep.
yeah, okay. Well, I mean, again, that could have been set in this movie. I would buy it, but I
Hell
also
yeah.
buy it being set in that as well. So, well, there you go. You
I love
got
it.
me.
Good. No, you did good. Good job.
I
Killed
won.
it. You got one. That's better than none. So good job. So, and then the other game that I wanted to play, not really a game, but we talked about the soundtrack of the movie. If we could just hand pick another random song from around that time, I usually say within the 3 years prior to the movie coming out, based on filming and editing, and maybe what was popular at that time. Just pick a random song from that time period and tell me what it is, and you can tell me where you'd put it. I will say that I don't know where I'd put mine, but I definitely think it would be fun little addition to the soundtrack. So, did you pick one, Adam?
Yes, and I went just 1 year earlier. I know you said 95 to 97, but the first thing I thought of when I read that question, and I'm like, oh, I really hope it was in the mid 90s, and it was 94, and I'm like, huh. And I'd go a step further too. I would do a cover of this song. I
Okay.
wouldn't do I mean, the original would be fine. And I don't know if it'd be blasphemy covering it, but anyways, first thing I thought of was TLC Waterfalls.
Ooh,
And
yep.
I double
Okay.
checked. I listened to and I listened to lyrics. I'm like, oh yeah, this could totally play in the credits.
Yep.
This could play. I don't know where because as I'm listening to lyrics, I'm like, huh, this is kind of after all the big twists and reveal. I just feel like playing during the credits would be iconic with the shot of her on the boat or
Mm,
something like that,
yep.
and get like a really cool cover. Like get a like you could do TLC, but if you get another like rockin' female voice from the '90s
Yeah.
to cover it, I think it'd be really cool. Like maybe a little less poppy. And I don't know. I don't know much about music, but that was the first song I thought of, and it was '94. So I'm like, I have to go with it.
I love it. I think a cover of that song would actually be pretty cool. A lot of the songs in Wild Things that they use are definitely on like poppy rock type
Yeah.
sounds. So yeah, I feel like taking Waterfalls and making it kind of fit a little bit more into that genre is perfect. So oh yeah,
Yeah.
good job. I picked mine's really cliched. Not so much lyrics, just kind of like the vibe. And mine would probably be like in the first half of the movie somewhere. And that would be Every Day is a Winding Road from Sheryl Crow.
That's good.
If we have it in the first half of the film, or at least maybe like the first half hour, kind of throw it in there. It gives you that somewhat happy whatever, but you're talking about how every day is a winding road and there's twists and turns and curves and all that fun stuff. So
Yeah.
kind of alluding to the idea of what's to come, but not really giving much
The
away.
first cut as the deepest would be kind of cool too. I doesn't
Ooh, that would be good.
100% line up, but
No, no, no.
she
I love it.
yeah, that'd be cool.
I love that. I guess the biggest thing we really have left to talk about is just what did you love about this movie? What are some of the things that stuck out to you?
Um, what? Honestly, I was really into it at the beginning when it was the court case.
Hmm.
Now, in a different movie, I would have liked. I would like to have been. Uh, yeah, it was interesting having not been in the room
Hmm.
and listening to the case as it laid out, but I also would have liked to have seen it. I just find that interesting. Like, obviously, it's a sore subject. Like it's not hard. It's hard to talk about when you're talking about rape and stuff like that. But I just thought it was interesting where it's like you don't, was there consent? Was there something missed? This, that. I mean, when you get the twist of all the movie, you realize that absolutely not. And you explain the unrated version that they were just having consensual sex.
Yeah.
All the intensity is gone. But I was kind of into the movie at that point. I'm like, this is interesting. Like, was there a gray area missed? But then again, now that I'm saying it, I'm like, at the end of the day, she walked in soaking wet, and I'm like regardless, like yeah, it's such a gray area. I'm like, how much of this movie is the court case? Because this is interesting. Is it
Yeah.
going to play out? Is the mom going to get involved? This, that, and the other, and then it was basically over. But I'm just like, I think that again, courtroom dramas are one of my favorite genres. And yeah, I was surprised where I'm kind of, and then once the twist happened, I'm okay, now I'm on for a different roller coaster ride for this movie, which is fine. And then yeah. But yeah, no major scenes stood out, obviously, and that would probably be again the scene before the threesome with the first twist reveal of them in the room, and then Nev Campbell comes out, they're all drinking wine when
Mhm.
everyone's just kind of unleashing and like just kind of
Yeah.
they're being their true selves. I'm like, okay, interesting, all right. And then yeah, but yeah, not a lot of grand, oh my god, amazing set pieces or scenes, but I was kind of invested in this courtroom drama about this sexual encounter where she claimed to have been raped, and then Nev Campbell gets involved. And it's like, oh my god. So I wasn't expecting that. Is basically what I'm saying.
I think that is definitely what it has working for it. Even going into it, knowing that there are twists, I think you can agree that you didn't see all of them coming, and they all
Yeah,
make sense or not. They do a good job of trying to explain it to you. I mean, with anything, you can probably find plot holes here and there, but
yeah,
I like that the movie takes its time to try to explain these things to you, and they're not just pulling a fast one on you and being like, "Well, just believe it because we showed it to you," you know?
yeah.
So yeah, was there anything that you absolutely hated about the film? Would you say that you actually liked the first half of the film better than the second half?
No, because it became the actual movie that it was.
Okay.
Again, it would have to be a different movie. These characters and this script and all this wouldn't work for a courtroom drama. I wouldn't like
Yeah.
it. But in another movie, in an alternate universe with this going
Hmm.
on, I think it'd be interesting. Again, I just like courtroom dramas.
Yeah.
I did not hate this movie. There was nothing glaringly bad about it. Again, like we said, acting was fine. Everything was fine across the board. Again, just too many twists. Again, and it would all come down to if I was writing a remake, be a show or another movie, it would just be pulling out the good stuff. It's like pulling
Hmm.
out the good stuff from like a Stephen King novel. He has so many great ideas and all these crazy wacky things. You can't take it, adapt it, because it doesn't make any sense. It's
Right.
pulling the good stuff from it,
Yeah.
and there is some interesting things in here. And you could revert it, and you can make the females the leads. And that's probably what I would do. And if I had that cast, it would be Jenna Ortega and Sabrina Carpenter. They'd be top billed. I would revert it to making them your leads and changing up the structure a little bit.
Hmm.
It works for this, but again, I think the billing is almost in sense of name, uh, like reckon is I don't know what the word is, but like Kevin Bacon and Matt Dillon were the biggest stars,
Sure.
obviously, so they're
Yeah.
front and center. But I would
Yeah.
revert. I think the more interesting story is with the two girls.
Hmm. I completely agree. I saw online someone was like, Wild Things is a great movie to have a drinking game with, and every time someone says Sam Lombardo, you take a shot. When I watched it the second time to do this episode, I had that in the back of my mind. I'm like, my God, they do say Sam Lombardo so many times. When Kelly comes to his door right before the supposed rape happens, and her and her friend, when he opens up the door and they're like, "Hi, Mr. Lombardo," and they like say it in sync with each other, and it's really cutesy, but also like insanely annoying. It's lived rent free in my head ever since I saw the movie for the very first time. I don't know why. Every time I hear Sam Lombardo, I hear the girls say Lombardo that way, and it drives me crazy. But I don't know. I guess it's effective line delivery from actors. So good job. I will say some of the things I like about this movie a lot, uh, outside of things we've already talked about. I'm not gonna repeat myself on all those things, and I agree with everything you said as well. Some of the dialogue in this film cracks me up. Like, uh, Kelly at one point in time says to Susie, "Are you?" She uses the R word. She says, "Are you the R word or just brain dead from whiffing fumes out there in the swamp?" The way she says that line, she's like half yelling, and it's so like not a serious thing to say, but it's so ridiculous and it just cracks me up. I don't know why. It just does. They constantly use swamp trash as ways to
Yeah.
refer to certain people, and that is actually one of the things too I like about the film is the commentary, the social commentary on classes I kind of mentioned earlier. The beginning of the film, we start off with the credits. We start going through the glades and into the swamps, and we have like trailer parks. And as we're getting closer and closer to school, everything starts becoming a little bit nicer. And
Yeah.
of course, the school looks super nice, and everyone's all dressed up nicely. Throughout the entire film, they play on that, trying to get the rich people's money. At the end of it all, this quote unquote slutty white trash trailer park girl outbeat every single person. She outsmarted them
Hmm.
all. She did a high IQ and she took everyone down. So I think it's pretty cool in a weird way, kind of like an Eat the Rich storyline.
Yeah.
They don't play into it too much, and they don't make it like overly obvious or get preachy
Not
with
just
it. So
subtext.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I appreciate that because I think that's pretty cool. And again, with the women coming on top, it's also the underdog, the less wealthy person's coming out on top. So
Yeah, and
uh,
that's another thing too. If you want to nitpick, like there are a lot of plot conveniences. The fact that Nev Campbell ended up pulling this off perfectly and everything went her way, like that's a
mhm,
little unrealistic. And
right.
as I was thinking back to like probably my favorite moment is when Bill Murray talks to Nev Campbell on the stand. That whole sequence was fantastic with her
Oh,
breaking down.
so
And again,
good.
at that time, you think it's legit. I
Hmm.
thought that was great.
Yeah, I
Like
agree
Bill
that.
Murray's an awesome, awesome actor when he's not goofing around. Like he's really good, and Nev Campbell is fantastic. And then Matt Dillon's relief, but again, when you know the twist, it's like a relief. Like, oh, we got away with it.
Yeah, yeah,
Like so, yeah, stand
yep.
out for sure.
Hell yeah. Yeah, and again, some of the dialogue just cracks me up. There's a scene with Kelly and her mom right before she tells her that she had sex, and this is not a great thing to make jokes about, but in the context of the film, Kelly says, "I miss Dad." And she says, "I miss him too, sometimes." And Kelly says, "No, you don't." She says, "Well, he didn't have to kill himself, Kelly." Like, just, it's so ridiculous that that
Yeah,
is even said, but I don't know. I think this movie overall, at the end of it all, is it's a fun ride. It's there you have a lot of fun with it. There are memorable moments. There are things that stick out, whether it be the things that were thrown at you from the very beginning, back in '98 that you remember, such as the overly sexualized scenes that they use for marketing hardcore.
yeah,
You can hold on to that stuff, but I think once you watch the film, there's definitely other things that you can hold on to. And again, I gave the movie a 9 out of 10, and I know that's a pretty high number. I obviously am not going to classify it in the same types of films as Oscar
yeah.
award-winning films. But yeah, so do you think you still stick with you gave it what, a 6.5?
Yes, but
Yeah.
again, that's the rated version. My
Yeah.
opinion might change with the unrated version.
Well, yeah, if you had to get a chance to watch the unrated one, shoot me a message, let me know what you think about
I
it,
will.
and um, I'll update the socials to let everyone know what you thought. So, do you have anything else you want to talk about before we get out of these swamps?
No, again, it was fun to watch it, and again, you briefly just said it. Like it's a great example of a movie that's sex sells. You can market people in for one thing, and you give them a handful of scenes that they might have came for, but no pun intended. But
Yeah.
it also it gives you more than that too as well. Like there's some substance to it as well,
Mhm.
and yeah, I mean, like we're human beings. People are intrigued by certain things, and if this is up your alley, again, it's not for everyone. We read all those reviews at the beginning, but for its genre, it delivers. It
Yeah.
gives you the mystery, it gives you the drama, it gives you the over-the-top acting and sequences, it gives you the sexy scenes, it gives you some nudity, and it's like, yeah, like what? I mean, there's a reason it was successful, and it got 3 terrible remakes.
Mhm.
So
Right, right, right.
yeah, I mean, anyone that hasn't seen it for sure. Again, it'll be hard going at it with no nostalgia if you're older, but and then if you're younger right now, you might have a different outlook on what types of movies you like. Again, I think it would have been perfect for a '90s audience. That
Mhm.
again, closer to what your age was when you watched it. And again, if I
Yeah,
would have watched it, I probably would have loved it. But
yeah.
yeah, definitely recommend it.
Cool. Well, that's all I have to say too. I want to say thank you, Adam, for joining me on this episode to talk about wild things. I had a good time. Maybe not as much fun as all these people had in this movie doing these diabolical things, but I had a good time with you, so I appreciate it.
No, it's good. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but thanks again. I'm sure we will do another episode at some point in time, and I will talk to you then. Hope you guys all have
just send me the list.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. I appreciate you guys.